on the escalating human rights violations and political intolerance in Kenya and the region. We, the United Opposition, stand before the people of Kenya and the international community, gravely alarmed by the heightened descent of our beloved nation into a state of repression, lawlessness, and political persecution. Despite our persistent calls to end arbitrary arrests, abductions, gross violation of human rights, and extrajudicial killings, the Ruto administration seems to be on a race to the bottom, that is to anarchy. In recent days, the country has been plunged into a disturbing pattern of political repression and targeted violence. Most shocking was the brazen abduction of the Honorable Member of Parliament for Juja constituency, the Honorable George Koimburi, whom we have visited this morning, and who was forcefully taken by unidentified assailants on a Sunday. He had gone to church, only to be later found tortured and dumped in a coffee plantation somewhere in Kiambu, literally fighting for his life. The horrifying incident is not isolated. It's part of a chilling trend where elected leaders and citizens, particularly Gen Zs, aligned with the opposition, are being systematically targeted to silence any dissent against this regime. In Kakamega, what was meant to be a peaceful homecoming for our colleague, Honorable Cleophas Malala and the supporters of the DCP party, was quickly turned into a war zone as police deployed excessive force, including live ammunition, to disperse opposition supporters. A few days before, the same cruel pattern faced innocent, peaceful citizens in Bungoma protesting against the grabbing of the Nzoia Sugar Company. This use of disproportionate force on unarmed civilians is not only unlawful, but represents a dangerous erosion of the right to assemble as enshrined in Article 37 of the Constitution of Kenya. Moreover, we have repeatedly raised the alarm over the state-enabled culture of impunity, where political hooligans are mobilized to disrupt opposition events violently. These criminal gangs operate openly, often shielded or even escorted by state security forces. From Busia to Kisumu, Nairobi to Nyeri, opposition meetings have been ambushed, tents destroyed, sound systems and cars vandalized, and citizens assaulted. While the police stand by, or worse, collaborate in this chaos, this is no doubt a state-sponsored political terrorism. We also condemn, in the strongest terms possible, the murder of two Catholic priests, Father John Minor, who had just recently hosted the second deputy president. We also condemn the death and murder of Father Alois Cheriot Bet, who had also been paid a visit by DCI officers, only to be murdered shortly thereafter. We are in solidarity with the Catholic Church in demand for justice and holding to account those responsible for these heinous crimes. These violations are not only gross violation of the Kenyan Constitution, but also a violation of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and other international rights statutes, including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, to which Kenya is a signatory, the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, ratified by Kenya as far back as 1972, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which enshrines the right to liberty, assembly, and freedom of expression. These legally binding instruments obligate the state to protect, not to persecute, any of its citizens without exception. We are deeply disturbed by the growing role of private sector enablers in this crackdown. We call out telecommunication companies, in particular Safaricom, which may have turned a blind eye, or worse, actively collaborated with the regime in surveilling, tracing, aiding, and abducting of these citizens. We demand that they publicly account for the data they provide to security agencies and affirm their commitment to protecting the rights and privacy of their customers. We equally put on notice all political and business elites, those who fund the goon squads, those who lobby for the maintenance of tyranny, and those in the diplomatic community who remain silent as Kenya burns. History will remember your complicity. To the Kenyan people, we say, do not be silenced. The repression we face today is not just about politics. It's about the very soul of our nation. When voices are muted through fear, when leaders are abducted in broad daylight, and when bullets are fired at peaceful gatherings, the silence of one becomes the silence of all. We urge every citizen, civil society groups, religious leaders, and international allies to stand in solidarity with us in demanding, one, an immediate cessation of politically motivated violence and abductions, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. Two, accountability for the telecos and private actors enabling illegal surveillance, tracking, and data breaches. Three, an end to state-backed disruption of peaceful political assemblies. Four, the protection of constitutional rights, including the freedom of assembly, association, expression, and political participation. We would like to remind Mr. Ruto that he is not immune from prosecution for crimes against humanity, which includes abductions, torture, enforced disappearances, murders, gender-based violence, and other crimes. This is not a partisan issue. It's a matter of a national concern and international concern as well. In fact, we want to declare it a national emergency. We will not relent until justice and the rule of law is restored and every Kenyan can live and speak without fear in this country. That's the end of our statement. Thank you very much.